Do German kids really have more freedom than U.S. kids?
We are Lisa and Greg, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you're curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the U.S. and Europe, you came to the right place. This is DW Euromax.
Yes, name of the video is How Does German Parenting Differ from the U.S.? It was recommended by Mel, and we always like watching videos that compare two different things. And we've never done parenting. We're parents. So let's see.
We've never done parenting videos. We've done parenting. We've done parenting.
We've done plenty of parenting.
We've done plenty of parenting. All right. So before we get going here, we're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. You can subscribe to the channel and like the video, and welcome to the family. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Is Germany safer for kids than the U.S.? Why do German children travel to school alone so young?
Really?
And is it true that German playgrounds are actually
like that young?
What'd that look like? A little 5-year-old
so
maybe?
young?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was
And is
little.
it true that German playgrounds are actually built to be dangerous? Let's find out.
Okay, let's find out.
I first came from the U.S. to Germany to work as an au pair, which is basically a nanny abroad. On the first day, I met my host family. And we all went to the playground together.
That's high.
As their 7-year-old who would soon be my...
But, that looks like an 80s playground.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was so dangerous for us growing up. We had the crazy high monkey bars. They're monkey bars that we all swung around in like crazy, did dead man drop and everything. And then we had all kinds of metal things like that.
Yeah, all kind of metal things. There wasn't no, like, now they have those, like, 2-3-inch cushions underneath everything.
Oh, yeah. No, we had bark. I think we had bark.
I mean, maybe. Not in my neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
We had no bark.
Yeah, maybe.
We had dirt.
And, like, slides were, like, 100 feet.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
there was no, like, railing.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of times. I think I have a picture of the boys, like, they're sliding down a gigantic slide and there's no railing or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And Garrison's like falling over, but you're right there.
Yeah.
Catching him.
Yeah. He didn't fall.
Responsibility climbed up to the top of this somewhat terrifying looking playground. The parents asked me to join them for a walk across the park. Shouldn't we ask little Nicholas to come with us? I asked. Oh, him? Nah, he'll be fine up there. We'll see when we come back, they said. That was my first clue that playtime in Germany is a little different than I was used to in the States.
Oh, wow.
I've since learned that German parents...
This is like that Denmark kindergarten. They just let him go. Nobody was there when that kid was climbing the big gigantic tree.
I think it's awesome. I mean, they do that here in Spain too.
They don't really. The kids are all off running around, and the parents are
off running around,
drinking. And
I'm like, ooh, that just looks like they're swinging too high.
We've seen them where we're like,
yeah, but they just let them do it, which I think is great. It allows kids to be kids. So.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay.
Parents just tend to be more relaxed about their children than American parents. For example, I was shocked when I first saw kids in Berlin around age 6 or 7 taking public transport to school by themselves. This would never happen where I'm from, but it's pretty normal here.
It would never
public
happen.
Transport.
I remember, I did when I was younger. I walked home when I was I was probably only like 5
I know,
or 6.
things were so different when we were little. That's why we had these things when we were little, these crazy, structures. You walked by yourself.
Yeah. Do you remember there was a time where it was this scare that was going on in America that you couldn't let your kids go into the bathroom by themselves because something happened and a kid went to a bath. I don't know if this is one of those urban legend things or if it actually did happen.
No, I think that did happen.
Yeah, where a kid went to the bathroom and didn't come out.
Mm-hmm. He didn't come out.
Yeah.
The parent didn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody took him, abducted him.
Yeah.
And I think there was maybe a string of them or something like that, that it became a scare, or it could have even happened once. And then it just, we started developing this fear because of probably social media.
Yeah.
Or news. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that's true.
Selves. This would never happen where I'm from, but it's pretty normal here. Unlike American children, German children are not typically watched every second. They're expected to learn life skills early and be independent.
Ich habe immer sie machen lassen. Ne? Und wenn sie gesagt hat, nee Mama, ich will das alleine machen, nicht festhalten, habe ich das auch nicht gemacht.
Später wollen sie auch nicht immer bei den Eltern sein, dann wollen sie halt die Welt selber entdecken. Dann ist man halt in der Nähe, verfolgt es. Ich meine, gerade das gehört ja zum Großwerden auch dazu. Und dann, sollen sie auch ihren eigenen Weg gehen dürfen.
So-called free-range parenting doesn't exist here in Germany the way it does in the US, because that kind of parenting is just the standard here. So is Germany really that?
I mean, that's so true. Like, I could totally see
The US.
some people
because
that I
kind
know
of parenting
that would be like, don't let her. Oh, now we got to go home and change her.
Yeah.
She's
Or
in the
that's
dirt.
nasty.
That's
or,
nasty. Get out of
You know how
there.
many germs are in there?
is just the standard here. So is Germany really that much safer than the States? Growing up in Ohio in the 90s and early 2000s, I was allowed to run around alone with my friends. Now some of my friends are parents themselves and wouldn't think of letting their kids do that. Safety is a big concern for American parents today, especially with all of the frightening headlines about children being abducted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, and remember in America, they had, what's it called? Like America's Most Wanted.
Oh my God.
And it started because the
Adam.
poly class, the girl that was like abducted, like from her home or something like that.
Smart. Was it her last name Smart? It was Smart.
Oh, Elizabeth Smart. That was another one.
Mm-hmm.
She was abducted.
Mm-hmm. And then the America's Most Wanted, his kid,
Right.
Adam something, was abducted, and all these horror stories of his fingers being cut off and all these kind of crazy stuff.
Right.
So that just amplified it.
But that's interesting. Like, does that mean it doesn't happen other places, or does that just means that they react to it differently in other places? You know what I'm saying? Like, does that happen?
Well, yeah. Are there any stories, like we just told those 3 stories? Are there any stories of abductions in Germany that you guys like stand out that happened that maybe elicited fear? But obviously not, because you're not fearful.
You know what's interesting is I just realized that like 2 or 3 of those that we just said were all people abducted from their house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember that JonBenet Ramsey?
Yeah, from her house.
From her house in Colorado. Like, so.
Yeah, I think Smart, or the other one you said, was abducted from the house.
Yeah. And then this leads people from the U.S. to say they need guns to protect people from.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay. Wrong video?
Wrong video.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There were around 375,000 reported entries for missing children in the U.S. in 2023. In Germany, it was just over 90,000. Wow. Compared to each country's population, though, it works out to be about the same percentage of kids missing.
That makes a difference.
But in both countries, the chances of a child being abducted by a stranger is actually quite small. And the person responsible is usually a parent or family member who doesn't have custody of the child.
Yeah.
And in both countries, nearly all missing children are actually recovered. Here in Berlin, I more often hear parents worried about their kids crossing a busy road, or photos of them being posted on social media. So the difference in parenting styles between the 2 countries does seem to be cultural. It's simply more normal for German parents to let their children out of sight than American parents. Tori Book, an American living here in Berlin, is adjusting to the German style of parenting after having her first child here.
I think German parents are just a little more relaxed, a little more chill, like less obsessed with, I have to track everything, I have to know everything about my child, where they're doing things, when they did something, and there's a lot more of an attitude of kids will develop the way they develop, and we don't need to be so observant and so careful about tracking every little thing.
Oh, man.
Tori tries out her German-inspired parenting style on the playgrounds here, which look a little different from what we're used to in the U.S.
Wow.
I love German playgrounds. I think they're amazing. Like, I think the problem in the U.S. is we have a very cookie-cutter notion of, like, a playground has to look like this and have these features, and I feel like here the attitude is a lot more, kids are kids, they love to be creative, they love to explore.
I can tell you right now that would not go in America.
Something like that.
Oh, God, no. The rocks and the edges on the metal and all of that.
Yeah, especially your mind just starts to be like, wait a second, what if? And
but, I think it's so interesting because all of this like permeates into the culture and society and everything. Because you have a society where you have probably a whole generation of kids who grow up like not being able to problem solve, think for themselves, protect themselves, rely on their mother for parents for everything. You know, so
they become independent teenagers and independent adults.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I know in college they had, when I was coaching basketball there, they had helicopter parents, they call them, where basically they're just hovering over them for everything. So I mean, I could have a problem with a kid in practice and get a phone call from his parent, and the kid doesn't say anything to me.
Right.
Different experiences, and so let's give them really varied playgrounds.
I know what she means. My playgrounds growing up mostly looked like this. Colorful, plastic, not too high, no sharp edges.
Right.
So I was shocked when I first saw German playgrounds, often metal or wooden with more natural features and lots of character and whimsy. Some are downright terrifying, even for me as an adult. To be honest, the first thought in my American brain was that German playgrounds look like a lawsuit waiting to happen. But I learned that they're actually built with risks involved on purpose. The idea is that children who face risks while playing will learn to better manage tricky situations and thus better manage their adult life later.
Yeah.
In fact, studies show children who don't face these risks are more prone to things like obesity, mental health issues, a lack of independence, and a decrease in learning, perception, and judgment skills.
Yeah.
So while Americans tend to build their playgrounds as safe as possible, Germans tend to build theirs as safe as necessary. Even insurance experts in Germany agree. They recommend playgrounds with calculated risks involved, balanced with safety features to promote problem-solving skills. You might think American playgrounds can't look like this because Americans are more likely to sue when their child gets hurt. But actually, despite the stereotype, Americans are less likely to sue than you might think. Only a small percentage of civil court cases in the US actually involve personal injury, and most of those are related to car accidents.
Yeah.
The difference is Germans are less likely to win millions in a lawsuit against a playground where their child got hurt. That's because the sense of personal responsibility is strong here, and you're expected to accept the risks at the places where you go. But I was really surprised to learn.
That's good. I'm glad she kind of cleared that up, because the perception is that America is sue happy. And, you know, I think it depends on the state as well. I know California was probably it was not probably. From my experience as an apartment manager, it was very sue happy. So I don't know. We liability was just over the top in California.
Yeah, and I think this because it's more like in California, it's more set up to help like the people. In Texas, because it's our other experience, it's like is not. First of all, the laws are like everything would work itself out. Like that's the philosophy of Texas. Like if you don't want to wear a helmet going 100 miles an hour on the highway, that's on you.
Right.
You don't have to.
It's not required.
Yeah. And so you can the people don't have as many protections in Texas as they did in
because it's
California.
up to you to kind of take care of yourself.
Right.
In Texas.
Right.
But it wasn't that way in California.
It wasn't that way in California.
But I was really surprised to learn all this. And I have to say, I prefer the German playgrounds.
Me
so
too,
how does
girl.
this all compare to your country? Are children also given this much freedom there? Let us know in the comments.
Well, we know they are in Denmark.
Spain? In Denmark,
getting freedom. We do know that.
And we know they are here in Spain.
In Spain too? Yeah, that's right. I like her earrings.
Yeah. She's all strawberried out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was good. That's a good little video.
Neat. That was good. It makes sense. It's like all of Europe seems to have adopted that. What she called it? Something free. I forgot what she called it. Where just like a free way of thinking, parenting.
Yeah.
I forgot what she called it, but
yeah, I did too. But I know
but just like it extends beyond Denmark, that kindergarten theory of just letting them go and having fun. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Another great thing about Europe.
Yes, it is. All right. So all these are long, so I'm out of luck. I got to read some of them.
Oh.
All right. I'm German and was a bit surprised that it's taken that way because it might be all true. And in comparison to the U.S., it seems relaxed. But if you look to Nordic and Scandinavian countries, they put all of this to another level, a level which I adore and like more than the German.
Okay, he's probably talking like the kindergarten thing. That's
That's
where
exactly what
that's
he's talking
super
about.
extreme.
Yep. German kids from 1997 here. Grew up in a rural suburb near Hamburg. And since there were no playgrounds nearby, my friends and I used to play in the streets and the forest. We used to take some snacks and water with us and just told our parents who we were playing with. At sunset, we used to come back home telling our parents about the adventures we had
Oh,
and where we were.
that was our boy's age. So this
Mhm.
this guy is like 27.
27, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm I am American, and I firmly believe that Germany is much safer for children than any city or state in America. The gun violence or violence in general is just unreal here.
Yeah, if you take into that account. Sure.
That's
absolutely.
true. If you take that into account, then she is right for sure.
Right.
All right. That was a great video. We do have, if you want to support the channel more than you are now, we have a Patreon, free option, paid option. Both of those include our Discord link, and that's where the magic happens. So you want to go ahead on over there and do that. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Peace.